Welcome to The Point with Mick Rich, and I'm joined here with Gregg Hall, candidate for governor of New Mexico and the current mayor of Rio Rancho. Gregg, great having you on board.
Great being on board. Thank you, Mitch. And by the way, I'm now officially the former mayor of Rio Rancho.
Oh, the
So,
former, right.
yes,
And
yes,
congratulations on that.
yes. So we transitioned to the new mayor back on May 1.
That's correct. I saw that.
Yeah.
Hey, so we ended the last section. I wanted to talk about crime and homelessness. Those two things are huge in Albuquerque, but they're not in Rio Rancho. And so, and you're so close. I mean, it's only a bus ride away. So how did you do that, and how does that going to work out? How are you going to do that for our state?
Well, quite frankly, what we did, Mick, is we prioritized law enforcement. That had to be the priority coming into office. It had to be the priority because the citizens' number one issue when I took office was just make this city safe, right? And so that meant enforcing the law. And there's a lot of laws that I see that go on in Albuquerque that don't get enforced. And it's not because I certainly don't want to put that on the police department. I think the Albuquerque has some great police officers there. It's a great department. But at the same point in time, they're so severely understaffed that they're you've heard the stories of the call times that take hours, if not days, to get somebody to come out to the house, depending on the priority of the call. In Rio Rancho, we made response times an absolute priority. You call the police, they're going to be there pretty doggone quick, and that's what needs to happen. When you roll up into Rio Rancho, if you do a traffic violation, you're most likely going to get a ticket. It's the ground game that you have to secure, and a lot of our communities just don't have the resources to actually get that ground game going. And with my experience of being the mayor of Rio Rancho, I want to go into the communities and work with the communities to really build strategic plans that are customized to these communities and help them fund those strategic plans so that they're getting the officers and the equipment and the expertise they need to deal with the issues. Because quite frankly, some of the issues that you're going to find down south are going to be very different than the issues you're going to find up north. If you look at Espanola and Rio Arriba County, they've got a bad fentanyl problem up there. They've got a bad opioid issue up there. They've got a lack of police officers in that community, and they run on a very restricted budget. So it's really hard for them to add additional police officers. It's hard for them to buy equipment. So, in my opinion, as being a mayor, that I just have always felt like the state could be a better partner when it comes to actually addressing issues on the local level inside our communities. That's what they want to see. That's what they want to hear from their government, not these one size fits all approaches to everything that happens. And look, if you're enforcing the laws, for example, not allowing illegal encampments to pop up, that's a big one. If you're enforcing the law, they're probably not going to come into your community and try to, they might come in, they might put up a tent, but they're going to get the message very soon that we don't allow you to set up a tent in the community. There are ordinances against that. Now, I don't mean that to come across as being discompassionate, is that we want to help wherever we can. We want to point you to services. We want to help you get out of this situation. But for the individuals that have made this a lifestyle and that they're just kind of content to be, living on a sidewalk or doing the things that they're doing, and when I say some of the open violations of laws, I mean you just have to look at some of the things that happen, like the open air drug use in Albuquerque. Look, when a police officer sees that, they should have the authority to walk up and make an arrest right there. Okay. And in Rio Rancho, we've given our police officers that authority, and we make sure that they are enforcing the laws as they're written. And then we let the criminal justice system deal with it.
I'd like to add a couple of things here. The first one is, I talked about Albuquerque, but it's APD. You mentioned about the response time. So for the people that are tuning in here, my daughter, her last semester at UNM Med School, She's finishing up. She's over there doing a rotation at the hospital, comes back to her townhome right there at the North Campus. She's sitting there, and a guy comes through the window right there. I mean, he came in knowing she was there.
Yeah.
It took APD 45 minutes to arrive for a home invasion. My daughter went out the back window and he followed her out. Guess what? I hate to say this, but thank God that the guy next door that was a convicted felon sex offender was there to chase away the guy.
Wow.
We're depending on felons to protect us, which was just shocking to me that we had a skid steer stolen, recovered by a New Mexico state police officer. He called us up and said, "I've recovered your skid steer." They called up a towing company. They came and picked up our skid steer. A landscape company had it. And I spent $600 to get my skid steer back. I had it gone for 6 months. I'm going to go sue the landscaper. And guess what? The state police officer never filled out a report. I had no way. It cost me $600 and the landscape contractor got off scot-free. We're looking for you to do for our state what you've done for your city.
Yes, and that's what I'm committed to do, and that comes down to resourcing local departments and making sure that you're working with departments like Albuquerque APD to be sure that they are pursuing these issues and that they're issuing the right reports. Now, on the state police, obviously that would have been another issue from the state police down. I would have had to talk to the chief of state police and say, hey, why wasn't this report filed? Why wasn't it written? This was recovered stolen property. We need to ask those questions, but it shouldn't be the victims that are asking those questions. It should be the governor that should be asking those questions. It should be the chief of police that's asking, why didn't that report get filled out? That's a very important question, and that's accountability. What we need to do is make sure that when these things happen, that they are documented well and that there's accountability so that victims can find restitution, whether that's through the criminal justice system or through the civil courts. Find that restitution to make them whole, because you not only did it cost you $600 to get it back, you lost all the value of that machinery for the 6 months you didn't have it in your possession, that you could have been making money off of it.
So I look at that and I think the point that you hit on there was that in Albuquerque and the state, we're telling our police officers, don't enforce this, don't enforce that, enforce this, but don't enforce. And it's this back and forth. And if I was a police officer, I would just throw up my hands and say, oh, I can't get into trouble for not doing anything. Right. And we need, and I'm glad to hear what you're talking about, is that we enforce the laws. We don't, decide which ones. So what about our state? I believe our state is a sanctuary state, and our cities is our state a sanctuary state?
I don't know if it's been officially declared that, but the implication is that we are a sanctuary state, right? And if the implications there based on actions, based on the things that we're doing, when you talk about sanctuary, for example, Albuquerque has been declared to be a sanctuary city. And I know a lot of people just singularly associate that with immigration. That is not the singular issue. When you say you're a sanctuary city, you see an eruption of the homelessness situation, because they know that you're not going to enforce certain laws. You're not going to enforce certain rules. When I was at a meeting one time when the governor, we were at a roundtable about homelessness, and she told the chief of police in Albuquerque, hey, I drove up this street and I saw 3 people open air drug using. Why aren't the police arresting these people? And that's what we're talking about right there. When the governor drives down a street and she sees all this stuff, and there's nobody enforcing the laws, that's a problem. Sanctuary doesn't just apply to immigration status. It implies that if if you're a law-abiding citizen, you're going to get in more trouble following the laws than the criminals are going to get in trouble for breaking the law.
So looking at this, and we take a look at Albuquerque, what is it, First Street down there by
Yes,
I-40? It
under
looks
the
like
bridge.
under the bridge. It looks like one of these movies for apocalypse, zombie
Yes.
apocalypse. And you see this, you see the people, and they're the Walking Dead. And so, so we look at, we say, we have mental illness,
Right.
for the homeless. Then we have the people that are either hooked on drugs or alcohol,
Mhm.
in their struggle, and then the last group is the ones that need the hand up. So the
Right.
question is, how do you sort those out, and then how do you turn it around?
Well, I think you sort them out by just, the people that want a hand up, that just need help. I mean, you run across this from time to time where you might have a mom with 2 or 3 kids in the car and they don't have a place to go. There are places that will take them in, that will help them, and they just need to be referred to resources. And so what I want to do is something that we did in Rio Rancho is work with the faith-based communities to really catalog all the resources that we have around the state that that are available to help these individuals. You've got faith-based organizations that'll give people a place to stay. You've got faith-based organizations that will feed people. You've got faith-based organizations that will clothe people. You've got faith-based organizations that will help people get medical and dental care. You've got faith-based organizations that will help with education and job training. All of these things are out there. And the problem that I run into when I first became mayor of Rio Rancho, you had all of these different organizations doing different things, and none of them were really talking to each other. And so what we want to do is really kind of come up with a master kind of, you know, list, if for lack of a better term, of all the different organizations that are operating and have a mission inside New Mexico, and start pointing people toward these resources. You have faith-based organizations that deal with drug addictions. You have faith-based organizations that deal with behavioral health issues. These are organizations that are independently fundraising, and some of them don't rely on any type of government funding whatsoever. This is just their mission, that they go forward in life, and this is what they're going to do. We organize these individuals and start to bring them together in a list, and then make those resources available so that if get that list out to business owners, get that list out to police officers and firefighters and first responders, get that list out to everybody, that when you encounter one of these individuals, you can point them toward those resources. We've been very successful with that up in Rio Rancho. When our police officers find somebody that needs some help, they point them toward resources. Now, that's on the side where people want help. Then, I mean, we've been talking about this, as in the legislature, about mandatory treatment, or basically forcing people into treatment. If you're on the streets and you just cannot figure out how to get this help, how to get these resources, you won't take your medication, and you've made this a lifestyle. I think that some mandatory treatment, whether that's in behavioral health or even in medication or what have you, making that mandatory so that we can help these people kind of transition out of that lifestyle and into a lifestyle that's better for them. Now, this always it always comes across selfish of, well, I just don't want to see that apocalyptic scene down there under the First Street Bridge. I don't want to see it because it's inhumane. what you see there. It's not good for those people. It's insanitary, and there's a lot of crime that happens in those encampments. I don't know if you remember with Coronado Park before they shut that down. Coronado Park used to be a beautiful park.
Oh, right.
Um, and then it turned into a complete homeless encampment, and now it's a dirt field with a chain link fence and a bunch of stumped off cottonwood trees, because that park was completely destroyed. But while that homeless encampment was there, Mick, is that
Yeah.
there was all kinds of crime happening in there. Did you freeze up? Are you there?
Yeah. So we need to break for the
Okay.
next segment, but uh, and then lastly, we need to get our, and I'm just going to say this, how we do it, I don't know. And I don't think anybody does right now, but we have homeless on the street that are severely mentally ill
Yes.
and a danger to society. And in this, and government has been well warned of these individuals who then later on to create horrendous crimes. So, but we need
Yes.
to break. We're going to, next segment, we're going to be talking about child health care, talking about education and our future generation of leaders. So again, to the point with Mick Rich, Gregg, having you great on board, and we'll circle back. Thank you. So let's get started on this last segment.
Okay.
And I'll figure out how to do the editing.
Well, as long as you put a break in there, it's usually you can just put a slice right there. You can just do a clip.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I figured. So, okay. So here we go. Welcome to The Point with Mick Rich. I'm joined here with Gregg Hall, candidate for New Mexico governor, and also just recently passed mayor of Rio Rancho. Gregg, great having you on board.
Great being here, Mick. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for the conversation about the things that are really impacting New Mexico. And the questions you've been asking and the things that we're talking about, I can tell you, traveling around the state, these are the issues that people are talking about, they're concerned about, and they're looking for somebody to bring bold solutions to these problems. And as you mentioned, I am the candidate that has had the experience, the executive level experience of running a city, and and a city is a microcosm of a state. It's and the things that we do inside a city administration are very interactive with the things that happen on a state level. When you look at state laws that are passed, they directly impact cities and counties, and those laws have an impact on how we do things. So, working with the legislature, working with the governor, working with the county commissioner, working with city councils, working with other mayors across the state, the legislature, whether it's the Senate or the House, to understand what communities are looking for. And just to be real frank with you, it's hard to have a voice in a system where many of the individuals that are in that system have never had any type of municipal level experience. They've never run a city. They've never been on a city council. They've never had to deal with actually funding a police department. They've never had to actually deal with funding a fire department, and what it takes to keep a senior center open, what it takes to keep a library up and functional. All of those things are functionalities that when you build into a budget, and then after all that's said and done, people want those potholes fixed too.
Amen to that one. I put a lot of miles on